Anybody obsessed with Instagram's algorithm needs to be reading this book. Hello and welcome back to Cuckoo for Books, and today I'm going to be doing my book review for Girl Gone Viral by Arvin Ahmadi. I was lucky enough to be selected for the blog tour for this novel, so back in March I was able to read an arc of it before it officially came out in May. I've been sitting on this review for about 2 months and I'm so happy I can finally share it with you guys. This book was pitched as The Social Network meets Black Mirror, and it's set in the Silicon Valley area, I would say from my own estimation 30 to 50 years from now. So in honor of tech geniuses like our protagonist in Girl Gone Viral, Opal Hopper, I am wearing a Stark Industries shirt for my favorite genius playboy billionaire philanthropist, Tony Stark. The main rundown of this novel is that Opal Hopper is our protagonist. When she was a kid, her father, who was this big tech guy in Silicon Valley, disappeared. Now, we don't know if he disappeared, he left them, or he was murdered. And she grows up to be quite the smart kid herself, and so she is enrolled in a science high school in Palo Alto. There is a contest. The only person she thinks who could solve the mystery of her father's disappearance / possible death is this billionaire who owns this huge virtual reality company. And he's hosting a contest, and the winner gets like $1 million, but also gets to meet him. He's this recluse who never shows himself, so she's like, I'm gonna win that contest to get the chance to meet him and ask him what really happened to my father. She hacks her way to get her upvoted in the contest, and her one hack into this thing to win the contest unleashes a crap storm on her life and turns it upside down, and I don't want to give anything away, but that is the summary for this book. So my initial thoughts about this book: I really enjoyed it. I loved the world he created. I loved the time frame it was in. I can totally see the pitch that it was meant to be The Social Network meets Black Mirror. It definitely evokes the feeling of both film / TV shows. At first, I was really hesitant because when I start a book, I usually like it when the author takes the time to establish the world, particularly if it's a new world that the readers don't know yet. And I think that would just be my one nitpick about this novel, is that he built this amazing world set in our world in the not too distant future, but I wish he had elaborated upon it more. The first few chapters, I always like it personally. Settle you in the world. We're in this time, we're in this place. I'm not a fan of hitting the ground running and you trying to catch up with a heroine or hero and the author's just throwing information at you. Oh, by the way, this is that. And you're like trying to run and you're like, sure, that's what that is. I'm so lost. It's like, can we stop? Don't propel the plot forward first. Just like, let me familiarize myself with this world before we do anything. A lot of the plot revolves around virtual reality also, and I feel like the protagonist puts on this show every week, and that is what the contest is about. She's like, oh, I'm going viral, but you never know what goes on in this show. We're always being told that, oh, I had a really successful show this week. You still haven't told us what you're popular for. What do you do in the show that makes you so special? Why are people calling you super honest and breaking all the rules? Like, we never really go into why her show is completely different from any other show on virtual reality, so I feel like that could have been elaborated upon more. There are some books out there that have it on their summary like, watch this character descend into villainy, watch her descend into madness, or watch her get caught up, and then you read the book and you're like, but she's not really caught up or a villain or mad. I don't see it. The payoff was not there. You tried to bribe us with a villain origin story and it's just not showing up. This book paid off. The blurb is like, how far will Opal go, or is it really attention that she wants? Okay, cliche, how far will she go? Usually not very, but in this book she goes far. She wants those answers. She wants to be viral, and it does that sort of descent into madness trope really well. It felt like the characters were actually in high school. They were dealing with newfound fame after going viral, but they also had school dances. They had to worry about college applications. So I live vicariously through these books that are set at a boarding school, because growing up that was my dream. I did love the world. I think it's such a brilliant time setting to have it 50 years from now, because nowadays we're like on the cusp of really cool innovations. Setting the book not even a generation away was really smart. In his timeline, things like Twitter still existed. Also, just a quick segue, I have no idea why Twitter would survive and Instagram wouldn't, but that's just me. I thought it was a very interesting choice to have it in that time setting where things are familiar enough, but still they have all this cool stuff that seems completely plausible, because with half the things they're coming out with, virtual reality is not a reach. In fact, we have virtual reality right now, but to have it become mainstream is not a reach. Having walls that serve as screens. Even though it's a hypothetical future and it seems so futuristic and fantastic, it's actually really grounded and entirely plausible. And that kind of scares me a bit. And there's this one line in the beginning of the book that just like called me out, and I feel very attacked. They were so happy they went viral, and she was like, "You don't even need drugs, we're overdosing on likes." Oh no, that's exactly what I do. Like, if I get enough likes on an Instagram picture, I get so happy, and that is not a healthy mindset, but it's sort of where our society is going, and I'm afraid I contribute to that. I thought that the author delivered that really well. He had a message to get across in the story, and he delivered it excellently. His writing flows really well. It's well paced. It's one of those books that before you know it, you've hit 150 pages and you weren't even trying to hit 150 pages. And now we're just gonna go completely on to the spoilery section of this review. So if you've read the book, odds are you haven't, because I'm releasing this video during release week, so unless you got an arc, save this video, read the book, come back to the spoilery section when you finish, and let's talk. But for now, all aboard the spoiler train. Choo-choo! I really wish that Gabby Swift and the Luddite faction winning the election had played a bigger part, particularly because I've asked my friends who have read this book, and they say it doesn't look like a sequel is forthcoming. So I feel like they dangled this incredible plot point of what do you do when everybody relies on technology and an anti-technology president wins the election. So I'm begging for a sequel, and I hope we see more of Miss President Gabby Swift. Also, I have mixed feelings about Opal being the love interest or being in a love triangle between her two best friends, just because I feel like that's also very early 2000s to have like a girl with two guy best friends and they both are somehow in love with her. It's not personally my favorite trope, but I thought it was handled very well. There was nothing overly soap opera-ish about it or dramatic. It was literally how they acted was how I think high school kids would have acted. Going off of that though, I would have to say that I found Shane's suicide fake out delicate. I am personally not too sensitive about things like that, but I think a lot of people will be hashtag triggered by it. If you don't care about spoilers, I'm talking about how for a good chunk of a chapter, Opal thought that Shane committed suicide and they went around town looking for him. The chapter ends, we hear the train go boom and the crowd rushing. And the next chapter starts with her, "Oh, I couldn't move. I didn't want to talk. I stayed in bed for 3 days. I should have asked him. I knew he needed help." You flip the page and it goes, "No, actually Shane was fine. The train was just stopped, but I thought he was dead and that woke me up. But he's fine." Oh man, I mean, you either not bring in that plot point at all or you see it through. So I felt that that fake out was very clickbaity almost. And now we're done with the spoilers. And wrapping up the spoiler section means we are wrapping up this book review to conclude. I feel like this book was ready to give us more. I wanted more, and I'm really hoping for a sequel. I'm still so invested with the characters, and I think that that's where the beauty of this book comes from. Yes, it has excellent world building, even though it could have been developed more. The characters will also grow on you. They're not perfect. In fact, some of them aren't even likable, but I think that's the beauty, is that it's portraying realistic humans, realistic high schoolers who are sometimes douchebags. And that about does it for my Girl Gone Viral book review. You can follow me on my other bookish adventures on Twitter at Cuckoo for Books and on Instagram at Cuckoo for Books and at Salva Villarosa. Please subscribe, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye guys!